Before we dive in, I must caution you that this tale explores intense and mature themes. It explores the struggles of new motherhood, the complexities of family ties, and the allure of betrayal. I'm Mara Ellison, and I've seen 42 summers pass by. From the outside, my life may seem unusual, yet I've come to embrace its unique path. If you had whispered to me a decade ago that my life would take this turn, I would have laughed it off, thinking it was a cruel joke. I never thought I could feel this way. Here I sit, alone at my kitchen table on this quiet morning, lost in thought, my gaze lingering on a half-empty cup of coffee. I'm lost in the memories of the past 10 years, yearning to find a thread of meaning in the chaos, but it slips through my fingers like a fleeting whisper. For the last 8 years, it's been only Cassian and me. Since the divorce, we've been moving through life together, feeling as if the universe conspired to keep us apart. I recall the moment everything changed, the day his father left us all behind. At just 10, Cassian found himself caught in a whirlwind of feelings he couldn't quite understand. He held back his tears, as always, never allowing me to see his vulnerability. Yet, it was in the quiet gestures of his demeanor that I sensed it. His gaze lingered out the window, a silent ache in his eyes, as if he were hoping against hope for his father's return, even though a part of him understood the truth that lay heavy in the air. Each day, he lingered in hope. Each day, I witnessed the quiet ache in his eyes as hope faded with his father's absence. That day, when his father walked away, I vowed to keep my heart guarded. In that moment, I promised myself I would do anything to keep Cassian from ever feeling lonely again. I would be his unwavering anchor, ensuring he felt the warmth and safety of a family, even if it was just the two of us against the world. That promise has been my guiding light, the reason I push through even when shadows loom large. It hasn't always been simple, but I've fought to build a sanctuary for him, offering the love and support he craves, despite the challenges that loom over us. For a while, I truly thought I was holding everything in place. Cassian was a gentle soul, always there, his quiet kindness wrapping around me like a secret. He found ways to help, his presence a soft comfort in the shadows of my heart. There was a softness to him, a quiet allure that set him apart from the rest. Yet, as time passed, everything began to change. He began to transform in ways that left me breathless, and if I'm honest, I felt myself shifting alongside him. This year, Cassian turned 18, a moment that felt monumental for us, charged with unspoken emotions. He's grown, yet I can't shake the feeling that he's still teetering on the brink of understanding what it truly means to be a man. The shift is murky, and I can feel his turmoil beneath the surface. He's always held back, even in his youth. He felt no pull towards the company of other kids, never craved the raucous chaos that captivated his peers. He rarely steps outside, finding solace in the stillness of his own space. He lacks the kind of close friends one might expect from a young man. I've reached out to him, desperate to uncover what's hidden beneath his surface. Each time I ask, he brushes me aside, offering a nonchalant, "I'm fine," leaving my heart aching with unanswered questions. Yet, I understand him more deeply than he realizes. I can see the pain behind his smile. A mother feels the truth in her heart, even when her child weaves a web of denial. About a month ago, Cassian approached me with a revelation that took my breath away, something I was utterly unprepared for. As the night deepened, it was just the two of us, in the dimly lit living room, and he revealed a side of himself that took my breath away. He confessed to me that he had been exploring his identity in ways I hadn't expected. Initially, I felt utterly lost. I was lost in his words, my heart racing as confusion wrapped around me. In that moment of realization, as his words sank in, it felt like the ground had vanished, leaving me suspended in a dizzying void of longing. My heart raced, breath hitching in my chest. I longed to scream, to uncover the thoughts that twisted in his mind, to understand how he could believe that was permissible. Yet I held back. Instead, I remained still, captivated by his presence. In that fleeting moment, he seemed so fragile, wrapped in shame and a deep, aching embarrassment. He looked away, his shoulders slumped, and a deep longing stirred within me for the connection we could never fully embrace. The boy who once radiated warmth and eagerness now sat in silence, weighed down by an unspoken heaviness that eluded my understanding. In that fleeting moment, I understood something deep. It was never just about his actions. It wasn't the actions that mattered, nor the shock or anger that stirred within me. It was a deep struggle, a feeling too complex to voice, a truth that lingered in the silence between us, quiet yet real. It was a battle within him, a whirlwind of uncertainty, isolation, and trepidation. All I could do was sit beside him, grappling with the unspoken, aching feelings he held close, emotions he had yet to find the words for. He was neither a pervert nor a monster. He was my son, and my heart ached for him. He was wrestling with emotions he couldn't grasp, feelings that seemed overwhelming and hard to understand. I couldn't bear to deepen his pain, so I chose a different path. We struck a secret pact. I whispered that he could follow his heart, but there had to be boundaries. He could explore his feelings, but we agreed to talk openly about them. I needed to protect him, to keep him from stepping over those dangerous boundaries again. In return, I promised him I would invite anyone I desired into the house, free from his scrutiny or judgment. It wasn't ideal, but in that fleeting moment, it was all I had. Ever since that moment, everything has changed. Cassian appears at ease now, a hint of tension fading away. He may not say much, but at least he no longer turns away from me. What about me? I've begun to understand that this connection isn't solely for his sake, it's for me as well. It offers me the release I've longed for, the chance to embrace my life without the weight of his presence holding me back. In the stillness of the night, I find myself questioning if I chose the path that truly belonged to me. I can't help but think about what they would say if they found out. Would they see me as unworthy, as someone who has lost her way? Perhaps they would, but they have yet to understand Cassian. They can't understand the pain of watching your child suffer, feeling utterly helpless to mend their heart. They can't understand the struggle of holding on, teetering on the edge, desperate to stay whole. The uncertainty of our future weighs heavily on my heart. I can't shake the feeling that this connection is fragile, like a beautiful secret poised on the edge of chaos. Yet, for the moment, this is our secret. This is our choice, tangled and complex. Yet I strive to do right by him, for us both. If you're still here, please give this video a like, share your feelings in the comments, and subscribe for more tales like this one. You have no idea what lies beneath the surface. I never intended for this to happen. I never really considered the consequences. It was unexpected. One moment, I was lost in thought, wrestling with the weight of Cassian's words, and the next, they tumbled from my lips, unbidden and reckless. "Go ahead," I whispered, "but there are a few things I desire in exchange." His gaze pierced through me, as if I had uttered words meant for another world. His face drained of color, fists tightening on the kitchen table, a storm of emotions brewing beneath the surface. For a fleeting moment, I feared he might leave me behind. Perhaps I longed for him to. Perhaps I wished for him to refuse, to call me insane and leave me alone in the silence. Yet he chose not to. He sat there, eyes locked on mine, his lips parting and closing as if words were trapped inside him. "What do you mean?" he finally asked, his voice trembling, barely above a whisper, as if he feared the truth would shatter everything. I inhaled sharply. "You can continue, but let's keep communicating honestly. And in exchange, I can finally embrace the life I've always dreamed of. I can invite others in without your approval. Just us, lost in the moment. We both find what we crave, don't we?" The silence stretched, heavy and charged. Cassian remained silent, his gaze locked onto mine, a storm brewing in his furrowed brow, lips tightly sealed as if holding back a world of unspoken words. His eyes searched mine, a whirlwind of confusion and longing swirling between us. As he struggled to grasp my words, I found myself caught in the same moment. The words lingered, suspended in the space between us, and I knew they were irrevocable. I wasn't entirely convinced I desired it. At last, he gave a slight nod, almost imperceptible, yet it spoke volumes. "Okay," he whispered, his voice barely a breath, almost lost in the moment. "If that's what you truly desire." And just like that, it was over. It was a promise we both knew we shouldn't have made. The first time it happened, my heart raced, and I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. I perched on the edge of my bed, heart racing, palms slick with anticipation. I convinced myself it was for his sake, that this was the only way, that I was sacrificing for him. Yet, in my heart, I understood it was far more complicated. It just can't be. Cassian entered the room, his gaze fixed on the ground, a storm of emotion swirling within him. Neither of us spoke, the silence heavy with unspoken feelings. Our eyes never met, not truly. I sat there, heart racing, pretending it was just another ordinary day, even as everything felt so wrong. And when it ended, he slipped away, departed in silence. I stayed frozen in place, heart racing, lost in the moment. I sat there, eyes fixed on the wall, desperately trying to believe that all was well, that this was enough. It's odd how quickly we adapt to the unthinkable. Initially, each moment hit me like a gut-wrenching blow. Yet, as days passed, it became less painful. Or perhaps I simply learned to hide the ache it caused me. I convinced myself it was harmless, that it was simply something unique. I convinced myself it was sensible, that I was finding a way through the chaos. And for a fleeting moment, I let myself feel it. Cassian, however, was a tale of longing and unspoken desires. He wore a mask of indifference, yet his eyes betrayed him. Shame and guilt flickered beneath the surface. He never voiced it, but I could feel his shame for wanting this, for wanting me. Each time I caught that expression on his face, my heart shattered just a bit more. What was I meant to do? He was my everything, the one I cherished most. Leaving him behind was never an option. I couldn't bear to see him suffocate in his own emotions while I remained a silent witness. I masked my fears with a smile and pressed on, heart heavy with unspoken desires. For him, for me, for the moments we can't have. I'm torn, unsure if this is the path I should take. Some days I question if there even is a right choice left for me. Yet, here we stand. The world we've created feels complete, at least for now. It must be this way. In the beginning, it felt just like any other moment. Cassian clung to the familiar, though it felt more like a secret than a routine. Just a fleeting moment, a whisper of connection, often stolen in the quiet hours. It was unexpected, yet somehow we found a way to navigate it. I convinced myself it was temporary, that he would lose interest, that the thrill would fade away in time. Yet I was mistaken. Rather than fading, it only intensified. Time slipped away, a morning blossoming into an afternoon, then surrendering to the embrace of night. Then, 2 mornings in a row. It struck me how swiftly the hours and days began to entwine around this secret connection. Normal moments slipped away, leaving the air thick with the weight of our unspoken agreement. I fought to forget, to bury it deep within, yet it lingered, a haunting presence that refused to fade. The first time I felt a flutter of doubt, I was lost in the mundane task of folding laundry. Cassian entered silently, tension radiating from him, every muscle coiled tight. His desire hung in the air, unspoken yet palpable. I set the clothes aside and perched on the edge of the couch, heart racing as I waited for him to finish. Yet, this time felt charged with an unspoken tension. He lingered, even when it was time to part. He stayed close, his gaze heavy with unspoken feelings, as if words were trapped in his throat. My heart raced, the intensity of the moment wrapping around me like a shroud. "Are you all right?" I whispered, my voice trembling with unspoken feelings. He nodded, yet his eyes betrayed a deeper truth. This was no longer about finding solace. It was a deep struggle. That night, sleep eluded me. My gaze lingered on the ceiling as memories of the day swirled in my thoughts, each moment tinged with longing. I tried to silence the whispers in my mind, convincing myself it was all in my head, yet my heart knew the truth all along. This had become something more complex, something he could no longer ignore. It was a need for connection he couldn't shake, a feeling that was becoming essential to him. The most terrifying part was the uncertainty of how to end it all. In the days that followed, Cassian's demeanor grew even more intense. He let go of pretense, no longer waiting for the perfect time. It felt as if he had cast aside all limits, as if our agreement had become a mere invitation for him to act on his desires, unrestrained and reckless. Perhaps it was meant to be. Hadn't I set him free to choose this path? Our first playful encounter was unintentional, yet it sparked something undeniable between us. The kitchen was filled with the aroma of dinner when he stepped inside, and my heart raced at the sight of him. His gaze lingered on me, a silent intensity as I danced through the room, each movement drawing him closer, yet keeping us apart. I can't explain my actions. Perhaps I sought to ease the strain, or maybe I was pushing boundaries, curious about his limits. In a moment of reckless abandon, I let my jacket slip from my shoulders, cascading onto the counter. His breath caught in his throat as I turned to him, a fleeting smile dancing on my lips. "Is something bothering you?" I inquired, feigning ignorance of the way his cheeks turned a deep shade of red. His silence lingered between them. He glanced back one last time before slipping away, leaving a heavy silence in his wake. Yet his gaze still clung to me, heavy and haunting, long after he disappeared. From that moment on, it turned into a quiet understanding. I'd adjust my hair, move with a bit more ease, letting my guard down in a way that felt unguarded and free. Nothing explicit, nothing overt, just a lingering glance that showed his uncertainty, a moment that held us both before he turned away. It filled me with a thrilling sense of control, a rush of power I thought I had lost forever, and I despised how deeply it drew me in. Yet, with each day that slipped away, the boundary between us faded further into the shadows. He began to seek me out, crafting reasons to linger close, even when there was no need. And I, him, whispered to myself it was innocent, that it held no weight. But deep down, I felt lost in its meaning. Everything felt uncertain now. In the stillness of a late evening, everything changed in an instant. Cassian sat across from me, his gaze intense, as I lost myself in the pages of my book. The air hummed with unspoken tension, stirring a warmth in my heart and quickening my pulse. Our eyes locked, a spark igniting between us. For the first time I held his gaze, heart racing with a feeling that felt both intense and uncertain. He felt the same way. The silence hung thick between us, almost unbearable, until I finally broke it, rising to my feet. "I'm heading to bed," I murmured, my voice a fragile breath in the stillness. He nodded, yet I sensed his gaze lingering on me as I turned to leave. I'm not sure how we ended up in this tangled web. I never intended for it to go this deep. Yet here we stand, ensnared in a loop I can't seem to escape. Though I long to feel in command, a haunting whisper tells me I've surrendered it all. Everything started to fall apart the moment Adrian Wolfe stepped into our world. Our paths crossed through a friend, a fleeting introduction that seemed inconsequential at the time. Yet, Adrian lingered in the corners of my mind, impossible to erase. He had a charm that seemed natural, effortlessly drawing smiles from deep within. His laugh wrapped around me, a soft embrace that made the world fade away. In that moment, I felt a weight lift, as if I could finally breathe without fear. Adrian began to visit more frequently. What began as casual dinners and drinks on the back porch quickly turned into stolen moments, with him lingering in the living room long after Cassian had gone to bed. And then, one night, he stayed forever. I couldn't keep it from Cassian. That was never meant to happen between us. Yet, I couldn't shake the expression on his face when he walked in the next morning and found Adrian at the kitchen table, casually sipping coffee as if he belonged there all along. There was an unspoken weight in the air, a flicker of something deeper. I could see it in my son's clenched jaw and the way his fingers gripped the plate, a silent struggle beneath the surface. Cassian remained silent at first. He lingered in the shadows, silent and brooding. As the weeks passed, Adrian's frequent presence in our home transformed his silence into a tension that crackled in the air. He began to lash out at me over the smallest details: forgotten tasks, mismatched socks, insignificant irritations that grew into something much larger. I attempted to dismiss it, convincing myself it was merely his method of coping. Yet, deep down, I sensed the tension building between us, palpable and intense, as if a tempest was on the verge of erupting. One evening, as Adrian and I shared a quiet laugh on the couch, Cassian unexpectedly entered the room. He remained silent, his gaze fixed on us, an unreadable expression lingering on his face. In that fleeting moment, our eyes locked, and I felt it stir within me. The pain, the fury, the turmoil that had simmered just out of sight for far too long. Before I could utter a word, he interrupted me. His voice quivered, a soft whisper filled with longing. Do you still feel anything for me? His voice pierced the silence, sharp and undeniable. Adrian's gaze met mine, filled with surprise, yet my focus remained solely on Cassian. What do you mean? I asked, my voice calm, but my heart raced with unspoken longing. He stepped closer, tension crackling in the air between them. You seem indifferent to my feelings, to our connection, to the way this has changed me. The air thickened, and even Adrian held his breath. I rose slowly, my heart racing, desperately seeking answers in Cassian's eyes. Cassian, please, that's not how it is, I whispered. I can't help but feel deeply for you. Is this really for me? His voice cracked like thunder, filled with unspoken longing. What does any of this mean for me? You allowed him to glide into our world as if he belonged here all along. You share laughter with him, as if I'm invisible, lost in the shadows of your moment. The breath caught in my throat, his words striking deeper than I had ever imagined. Cassian, I whispered, my hand trembling as I reached for him, but he stepped back, leaving a painful distance between us. I had no idea you felt like this, I whispered. Of course you never did, he murmured, a hint of pain in his voice. Your freedom consumes you, blinding you to what we could have. Do you even notice me now, or am I merely a fleeting convenience? The stillness that lingered felt heavy, charged with unspoken words. Adrian shifted on the couch, his heart racing as he whispered about needing space, before quietly slipping out the door, leaving an ache behind. I hardly registered it. My son stood before me, trembling, a whirlwind of emotions I had pushed aside for too long. That night, after Cassian fled to his room, I found myself alone in the living room, fixated on the empty coffee cup Adrian had abandoned. His words echoed in my mind, each one piercing deeper, a haunting reminder of what we could never have. He was right. I hadn't truly considered him, not in the way I should have. I was so consumed by the need to make this right, to believe in our facade, that I failed to see the toll it was taking on him. For the first time in ages, the gravity of my decisions hit me hard. The pact I forged with Cassian, the limits we shattered, the lines we dared to blur. It had become something more than just us. It was about us, the transformation we were undergoing, and the scars we were leaving behind. Sleep eluded me that night. Heart racing, I sat in silence, gazing at the door, torn between hope and despair, questioning if there was still a chance to mend what felt irreparably broken. The day after our fight, the silence in the house felt heavy, almost suffocating. Cassian lingered in his room, the door shut tight, the air thick with unvoiced longing. At the kitchen table, I gazed into my coffee, the steam rising like whispers of a secret longing. The pull was too strong to resist. I couldn't just stand by any longer. What we shared, this fragile connection, couldn't continue in the shadows, neither for him nor for me. As the sun dipped low, I found myself standing at his door, heart racing. Silence lingered, heavy and charged, as I leaned my forehead against the cool wood, yearning for a response that felt just out of reach. Cassian, I need to speak with you, I whispered, my heart racing. At last, the door creaked open, revealing him, his expression shielded, eyes heavy with unspoken weariness. I'm sorry, I whispered, my voice quaking with unspoken longing. For all the moments I missed, for not realizing the pain I caused, for allowing us to drift into this forbidden place. I was mistaken. His gaze remained guarded, yet he moved aside, granting me entry into his world. I perched on the edge of his bed, his figure a silhouette against the wall, arms crossed, a tension hanging between us. "We can't do this alone," I confessed. "Just us. I can't keep pretending everything is fine, and I can't let us continue down this dangerous road. I've stumbled too often, yet my heart aches to mend what's broken, if you'll allow me a chance." Cassian remained silent, his eyes cast down, a storm of unspoken feelings swirling within him. A few days later, we found ourselves in a cramped office, facing Gabrielle Serrano, a family therapist I had discovered online. Gabrielle had a gentle presence, a quiet strength that wrapped around you like a secret, offering solace even in silence. In the beginning, we both held back. We lingered in quiet, the burden of our tale heavy between us, too profound for mere words. Yet Gabriel had a knack for piercing the quiet, his questions feeling less like intrusions and more like whispered invitations to something deeper. Bit by bit, Cassian let his walls crumble. He shared the ache of solitude since the divorce, the turmoil surrounding our connection, and the simmering resentment that threatened to spill over. I stood there, tears flowing, as he finally spoke, the words I had buried deep within my heart. In the days that followed, therapy wove itself into the fabric of our lives. It was a struggle. Some days, we walked out of the office feeling emptier than before, moments when I wondered if we were truly moving forward. Slowly, the barriers that kept us apart started to crumble. Gabriel guided us to establish true boundaries, ones that felt real this time. I told Cassian it was time to end this, that it had been a mistake, and we needed to find a new beginning. Initially, he found it hard to find his footing. There were times I saw him slipping back into familiar patterns, his emotions spilling over in a mix of rage and sorrow. Yet, under Gabriel's watchful eye, we discovered new, forbidden paths to heal our hearts. Cassian began to journal, a surprising turn for him, and even stepped into a local martial arts class, discovering a way to channel his hidden feelings. Bit by bit, I watched him transform. He seemed to grow, his voice stronger, his presence more assured, as he ventured into the world, forging bonds that felt like a secret between us. The most challenging moment was confronting my own heart, truly confronting it. Therapy pushed me to face the choices I had made, the ways my fears and insecurities had shaped my connection with Cassian. I clung to him, desperate to mend the emptiness from the divorce, blind to how it was choking the life out of us both. Releasing that grip, allowing myself to believe in his strength, was a struggle that pierced my heart. One evening, months after our first therapy session, Cassian and I found ourselves on the porch, the sun sinking low, casting shadows that felt almost intimate. He glanced my way, his voice soft. "Thank you for everything, Mom." It was fleeting, yet it filled the heart in ways that felt both thrilling and wrong. As my hand rested on his, a wave of shared understanding passed between us, a fleeting moment that felt both deep and meaningful. We're navigating this delicate path together, healing twists and turns, a path filled with challenges and unspoken hopes. It's tangled and fraught with obstacles, each moment a bittersweet struggle. For the first time in ages, a flicker of hope ignites within me. Cassian and I are navigating our paths, entwined in a dance of past mistakes and unspoken desires. Though we may never fully escape our shadows, we're discovering how to step forward, hand in hand, into the unknown. Life is a chaotic dance, and if there were rules, I would have cast them aside long ago. Cassian and I have faced challenges I never thought we could endure, yet here we are, still holding on, still discovering each other. The house feels different now, almost like it's holding its breath. Perhaps there's a bittersweet comfort in realizing we're moving toward something more, even if it feels just out of reach. Cassian has discovered his place in the world. He's often lost in the company of friends, immersed in his own world. When our paths finally intersect, it's as if we're strangers, not two souls entwined in a complicated bond we never truly grasped. We still share those fleeting moments, filled with unspoken longing. Healing may be flawed, yet it whispers of hope. It's been a path of confronting my deepest truths. I've struggled to forgive myself, to release the guilt that clung to me like a shadow. I've learned that love sometimes means letting go, allowing the one you care for to navigate their own path, even when it aches to watch from a distance. It hasn't been simple, yet I cherish the journey we've taken, not only as mother and son, but as two souls rediscovering respect and trust in one another. In all of this, I've learned that true boundaries matter, those that tug at the heart and whisper of what could never be. These aren't mere rules, they're whispers of devotion, yearning for those close to you, while grappling with the desire to cherish your own heart. They're the delicate balance of safeguarding what you cherish, yet leaving space for growth, understanding, and an undeniable connection. I've discovered that owning up to my mistakes can be just as painful as letting go, and that facing the truth is often the most difficult path to take. Yet it brings an exhilarating sense of liberation. To those who can hear me, I have something to share. Your past doesn't hold you back. Your true essence reveals itself in the moments after you stumble, in the way you confront those you've wronged, and in the path you choose to take next. Change isn't about perfection. It's about embracing the fear and pain that come with it, even when it feels forbidden. We're caught in a web of uncertainty, and perhaps that's where we'll always remain. That's simply how it is. For the first time in ages, it feels like we're finally standing on something real. We're creating a world that's brighter, one where our hearts can beat in sync, and I believe we'll find our way together no matter the obstacles. I long to know your thoughts. What would you do if everything you knew shattered, leaving only the fragments of a love that felt so wrong yet so right? What steps will you take next? Share your thoughts below, and if this tale stirred your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more. Until we meet again in the next video, my heart will linger on the moments we shared. For the first time in ages, the gravity of my decisions hit me hard. The pact I forged with Cassian, the limits we shattered, the lines we dared to blur. It had become something more than just us. It was about us, the transformation we were undergoing, and the scars we were leaving behind.